Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to get started with our November edition of the EdTech Coaches Playground webinar series. My name is Katie Seamer, and I just have a few announcements before we go ahead and get started with tonight's presentation. This is the EdTech Coaches Leadership Team. Like I said, I'm Katie Seamer. I'm the outgoing president. I was the president the past couple of years. So on the leadership team, and these are all of the other fabulous people that I have the privilege of serving the EdTech Coaches community with. So if you have any ideas, suggestions on what we can do to make the ISTE EdTech Coaches Network experience better for you, please, by all means, let us know. Reach out to any one of us, and we will do our best to make that happen for you. Other places that you can reach out to not only us, but to the broader EdTech Coaches Network community at large is, of course, our PLN homepage within ISTE Connects. That's a little short link there for you on the screen. The PLNs, if you're tuning in and you're not a member of ISTE, the PLNs are free to join with any ISTE membership. So if you're an ISTE member, you can check out the professional learning networks and join the EdTech Coaches Network for free. We also have a very active Twitter network. We use the hashtag #ETCoaches to share our learning and connect with one another on Twitter. Please go ahead and share your learning about the webinar tonight using that hashtag. And then we have a Google Plus group, a Boxer group, and a Remind group for our Twitter chats. And then we also typically have a very active community during the webinar in the live chat area. So feel free to share who you are, where you're tuning in from, and then share your Twitter handle with us too, so that you can further connect online with us. Like I said at the very beginning, this is our November edition of the EdTech Coaches Playground webinar series. So if this is the first webinar that you're tuning in with us from, just to give you a little background, we started these last year, and they're just short and sweet webinars. So we take some of the most popular playground presentations at the conference, and we ask those people to essentially present that playground presentation over again in a webinar format throughout the year, so we can extend that ISTE conference experience to those who can't travel across the country to make it in person, or there's just so daggone much going on, sometimes you can't make it to everything. So we're just trying to extend that great learning out from these awesome sessions. So I will introduce tonight's presenters, but here's sort of the lineup for the rest of the year. And the next webinar, we do skip December just because it gets so crazy for everyone. So our next webinar will be January 9th, 2018. That sounds a little crazy. Instructional Archaeology, Digging into Reflection with Teachers by Ali Schultze. And you can, of course, register for future webinars at that bit.ly/ETC webinars 2017. As a side note, I have gotten some questions about why do we have to register each time, and that is so we can track as a leadership team. We can better track how many people are signing up and registering for each webinar if we make you register for each one individually, because if no one is signing up to attend, then it is not worth our time. So if you want to attend and you want it to be worth our time, sign up there. So tonight, oh no, that slide didn't change. Shoot. Sorry, tonight is PD and your PJs is our presentation, and our presenters are Miss Danna Bruns and Michelle Dirksen. And Danna has over 20 years of teaching experience as a former ELA teacher and library media specialist. She's currently in her 3rd year as an instructional technology specialist. During her first year in this role, she helped her district transition to G Suite. Last year was spent preparing for their upcoming Chromebook rollout. Incorporating digital badges was one step in this process. She has enjoyed working with K-12 teachers to help them incorporate technology to meet their learning goals and is looking forward to helping teachers transform their classrooms as Jackson proceeds with their Chromebook initiative. And Miss Michelle is the Director of Technology for the Hancock Place Public School District in St. Louis County. She's been in the school district for 22 years. She started out teaching 3rd grade, and after receiving a master's in technology and education, she became Director of Technology. Michelle has 3 children and spends all of her free time at her kids' events and being a personal Uber driver for them. I hope they are tipping you well, Michelle. So without further ado, please keep those questions coming in that live chat area, guys. I'll be collecting them for these 2 wonderful ladies throughout the webinar presentation. The presentation itself is only going to be about 30 minutes. So again, we like to keep it short and sweet, get you in and out in your PJs. I know I'm in my PJs right now, so perfect theme tonight. But so then I'll be collecting those, and then I will share those questions with these ladies at the very end. So if you have them throughout, share them here. I'll collect them. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Danna and Michelle.
Hi, everybody. This is Michelle. I'm seeing in the chat that they can't see the slides, so I don't know in the live chat. So I don't know, Katie, what we can do about that.
They should be seeing them now. It looks like Danna shared it now.
I don't know what we can do about that.
I just turned it on, so it should be working now.
All right, perfect. Do we have verification that everybody can see what's going on there?
Looks like they're all good.
All right, perfect. Okay. Again, hello, everybody. My name's Michelle Dirksen. I am the tech director, like she said, but I wear many hats. So just like the last webinar, not only am I the tech director, but I'm also the instructional coach and anything else that they need me to do in our district. We are a small district of, we have 3 buildings, or 4 actually buildings, 1 middle school, 1 high school, 1 elementary school, and 1 preschool. We're a school district of about 1,500 students, and I have about 120 certified staff members. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of what I am working with. Dana, do you want to tell them what you're working with?
Sure. We are just a little bit larger. We have about 10 buildings, 1 high school, 1 junior high, 1 middle school, and 6 elementary schools. So we have approximately 5,000 students and about 350 certified teachers. So the first 2 years, I was the only instructional technology specialist, but I'm very excited that I have a partner this year. So I am currently working primarily with the secondary teachers, and she is working primarily with the elementary teachers. So that has been a welcome addition as we are rolling out our one-to-one initiative. So that's kind of what I have here.
Great. So Dana and I have met each other. We're from different parts of the state, but we met each other at state professional development and some things that we were doing. And so we started working together a little bit on our badging program. And I came to the idea of doing digital badges with our staff when I went to ISTE 3 years ago. And so I went to ISTE completely wanting to do something with professional development that was innovative and that would save me a little bit of time and would give us the biggest bang for our buck with our staff. So that was my whole focus for that ISTE. And what I came back with was doing a badges program. So how does that work in our district? What it looks like for us, and we have it later on in the slides, you'll see our actual websites. But what it does on our end is it allows me to push out a bunch of apps, a bunch of websites, extensions and things that teachers are always asking about but don't know how to use, and let them try them on their own, turn around, give some evidence that they have tried or that they have looked at or have tested whatever badge that they've done, and get credit for that within our district. Because I'm the only person that does most of that professional development, so much time just explaining to people, oh, this is how you use Kahoot. This is how you use this extension. This is how you do screencasts. This is how you take a snapshot with a Chromebook, or this is how you take a snapshot with your desktop or your laptop or your desktop computer. And so all of those little things were taking up what little professional development time I actually had with my staff. And so I really wanted a way that they could do it on their own, hence the PD and PJs, because they can do any of this from their home or in the summer. And if they need evidence with their classrooms, and they have time to prepare that and turn that stuff in. So that's where this idea fit for our district. It also everybody a chance to work on their own and not be embarrassed to ask questions, or, you know, think that they're being stupid about something that they want to do. So it's really made them empowered to become the learner, and it's done, you know, it's gamified a little bit in our district. So one of the things you'll see is that we have a leaderboard, and that allows our teachers to kind of, you know, they go up against each other on a regular basis, and, you know, they don't want someone to have more points than they do. And so it's really, it has turned technology around in our district. We are one-to-one. We're a one-to-one district, K or 2 through 12. We are take home 6 through 12. 2 through 5 have their computers in their room, but they all have their own computers. Kindergarten and first grade have a hybrid of iPads and Chromebooks in their classrooms as well. So we're putting a lot of money out in technology. We were also, you know, putting these in the hands of all of our kids, and we wanted our teachers to be prepared. We wanted them to be innovative, but we also wanted them to be able to try things at their own pace and not mandate that they, you know, try so many things or use technology constantly in their classroom. So we did a lot of just face-to-face PD at the beginning when it came to, you know, classroom management and care for the computer and basic. We're G Suite school district as well. So all of that was face-to-face. This is just all the extras that are just overwhelming for our staff. Dana?
So our reason for implementing it was similar. We really wanted to be able to personalize our PD. It's really hard for anybody to plan something that's going to be appropriate for the math teacher and the music teacher. I mean, you just can't do it. But we also had a unique situation because we had a group of teachers that we referred to as our black belts. And these were our teachers in every building that were supposed to be your go-to person if you needed help. And it had started as sort of a group of people that were there to help you with hardware situations, but that had kind of become, it was no longer as effective. And we wanted to be able to utilize those teachers in a more efficient manner. And we needed them less and less for technical assistance, and we wanted to be able to use them more for instructional purposes. But we needed to be able to give them training as well. And so when I saw Michelle at that state conference and I saw what she was doing, I kind of thought maybe we had found our solution. So I brought it back and I showed it to my district administration, and they loved the idea. So we brought it in. Michelle was kind enough to share everything she had done with me. And so we brought it in and we used it first with our black belts and had them go through the program. They were kind of our guinea pigs. And then we in turn have turned them around, and they are now helping us to utilize the program with our 350 teachers. But because of our size, there's no way I could be the only person utilizing the program. So they're now my deputies, and they're helping me with it. But it has been very efficient and very successful like Michelle said, with our teachers as well. And we're in our first full-on year of using it. So it's really been effective. It's really been a great tool. We did the same thing. Our face-to-face training was with Google, because we went from Outlook to Gmail in 2 months, basically, and switched everybody from Word to Google Docs in a manner of about 4 or 5 months. We were trying to do that whole switch over. So that was all face-to-face training, but this is all of the extras and the things that are really going to transform our instruction. So this has been, we had to do a lot of the face-to-face training also on how you change to blended learning and changing your whole way of thinking about it. But the actual tools and the things that you can do with badges are the things that it's there when they need it. Because I can't always be there when they need me, but this is always there. And it gives them a menu. It's like going to a restaurant. There's a menu of all the things that are available. And people don't necessarily have time to go and look for all those things, but it's like one-stop shopping. They can just open up badges and see what's there, and they can select whatever tool is appropriate for them at the time that they need it. Back to you, Michelle.
Yeah, so one of the things that, so everyone's probably like, how do you do the badging program? So I did a lot of research, how this would work, and I contacted other school districts that were doing this at the same time. And what I found was that I needed something that had great credentials, but also worked pretty seamless with one another. So I wanted so bad for it to be a Google site that the teachers use, just because I love if it's a one-stop shop. However, that just didn't work out. Anyone who knows much about badging knows that, the actual badges are credentials that you earn from somewhere. And so we use the program called Credly, which is completely free. And that's what's wonderful about this whole badging program, is that it, for the most part, can be 100%, well, except for the hosting of the site, free. And so this was a version than us doing constant PD and chart or bringing people in to do PD, and also, paying our teachers. So we have to use, in order for Credly to work, seamlessly use WordPress as well. So WordPress is the actual back end that we're using for our website. And then there's an add-on called Badge OS, which allows WordPress and Credly to talk to one another. And so the back end is kind of what I shared with Dana, which someone shared with me. So it was like, it's started all by yourself. You at least had some things to get started with. And then I've worked with her. I've worked with other teachers. We copy and paste each other's badges, which is what I totally and completely recommend that you do, because why reinvent the wheel? Change it around, make it meet your needs, but don't start from scratch. It's a lot of work. I will not lie. I'm one person doing this, and I do actually have someone at the elementary now who is helping me, which has been wonderful. But she helps me with the badges. And one of the problems is, it's not even a problem. It's a great problem to have. But the teachers are like, they want to know that the stuff has been submitted. They want the approval. They want the points immediately, which always cracks me up, because we make our students wait while we grade papers, but we want instant gratification. So right now, this January will be 2 years using the badges program. We have almost 250 badges available for our teachers to earn. And to date, we have almost 4,500 badges earned by our teachers. And again, remember, I only have 120 certified staff members. So they really have gone to town on badges. One of the things that we do as a district is we do set some incentives, and we did have a minimum threshold that was mandated by our district for teachers to earn. And I know this always makes everybody cringe, but school board and my superintendent felt that we were generously giving a lot of technology to the classrooms. And in turn, we wanted to be sure that it was being used appropriately. So after they did these mandated trainings up front, the face-to-face trainings, they had 1 calendar year to earn 50 points in badges. So when you get on later and see our sites, you can see certain badges are worth different points. But they did have to do that. Now, once they did that as an individual, they did not have to go any further. So this is 2 years into the program, and if they wanted to stop at 50, and if you look at our leaderboard when it comes up, you'll see that some have stopped at 50. However, we have given other incentives along the way. So starting at 100 points, so if you earn 100 points, you'll get a gift card from the district. And then when you get to 150 points, you start earning some stipends. So what we had done in the past was pay our teachers to attend all kinds of professional developments on Saturdays and in the evenings and in the summer. And so what we decided to do was turn around and let them know that their time was still very valuable to us. And as long as they proved that they were doing the work, that we would give them stipends as well. So overall, up to 300 points, they can earn a total of $500 for their work. And we also put another little carrot in there at 200 points and said, if you reach 200 points, you get to choose something technology-based for your classroom. So we, for example, give all of our teachers laptops. However, our students are equipped with Chromebooks. And so the teachers are wanting Chromebooks as well, but not as their only device, obviously. So a lot of them work towards the Chromebook. That's what they want. I have other teachers who at 200 points say, I don't want the Chromebook. I'd rather have a document camera for my classroom. My latest one just came yesterday from a middle school teacher, and he said, I think that I would like a 360-degree camera. So we kind of cap it between $250 and $300. And this is just another incentive to those teachers who are going above and beyond and able to implement some of the things that they're doing. Now, these pieces of equipment are not personal to them. They belong to the district. So if they do leave, they don't get to take that with them. But those are some of the incentives we have given as a district. Dana?
So we have not required anything of our teachers. Our group of black belts, we did ask them to get 50 points during the first year because we wanted them to be very familiar with everything. But the rest of it, we're encouraging teachers and telling them that we will be looking at those who are active in the badge system as far as the ones who will be piloting new technology or those who will be chosen to attend technology conferences. We considered going the same route as Michelle and offering technology, but our teachers all have a Chromebook. They all have either a desktop or a laptop in their room. Everybody has a document camera, and we put in 70 interactive projectors over the summer. So as far as like technology that we could give them that would be available and affordable in that kind of same price range, there really wasn't just a whole lot that we could think of that our teachers have really been asking for. So we decided to make it completely voluntary. And even with that, so our junior high and our senior high started last year in January because they were the ones that were going to be one-to-one starting this school year. And we had people with 200 points in one semester's time. So even with it being completely voluntary, we still got people who are highly active in the badge system. And then we rolled it out to all of our middle school and elementary schools at the beginning of this school year. And Michelle is absolutely right. I would get emails from people saying, Danna, I submitted some badges over the weekend and you haven't approved them yet. So would you still go ahead and do that so that we can, so that I can pass up this other person because they're ahead of me by 3 points and I need to get going. Or I had one person who, they were a husband and wife, and the wife has left and gone to another district. And he's like, if you would go ahead and kick her out of there, that way she's not ahead of me on the leaderboard, that would be great. So they're highly competitive and highly motivated by that.
Hey, Dana, can you put up an example? There we go. Let's do, so there's both of our sites there. And I don't know if you have your site up or if you can screen share. So one of the things about the sites is we talked about the leaderboard and things like that. The leaderboard is the only piece that we actually paid for. It's a one-time cost, and I believe it's like $65 or $60. Money well spent, especially if you are not going to offer other incentives, just because this itself is an incentive for people. It was also a quick way for me to do a look at to see where everyone was, and who was kind of leading the way. It also was a great way for other teachers to go to other people and say, gosh, what are you doing? How are you earning all these points? And, things like that. So that's one thing that's awesome about this. The other thing you'll notice is we have badges. Both of us have badges you can earn and quests. And I know for me, quests are more larger things like Google certification and things like that. So they're the point value is much higher, but they take a little bit more time. One thing I love that she has done, I call mine tasks, but one thing I love that Dana has done is she's actually taken her badges and divided them into sections. And Dana, you want to mention that a little bit?
So one of the things that teachers were telling me was that before, like last year, I had them all just listed alphabetically. And they're like, well, that's great for you because you know what all of these things are, but we don't necessarily know what they all are. So our emphasis for this whole rollout of our devices has been on the 4 C's. So we were trying to encourage teachers to, of course, do something that you couldn't do with the do something with the technology that you couldn't do before. So add something collaborative or add something creative to it. So if you're looking for that, here are some creative tools if you're trying to add creativity to your assignment. So if you're not sure what you can do, here are some tools. You can go and look at this and get started with it. And then the thing that I found was the hardest to organize them this way is that a lot of these tools would fit into multiple categories. So if they think it should go someplace different than where I put it, well, then it's easy enough to just go here and search for whatever they might be looking for. So that's not a big problem.
The other thing too is the levels. We another pretty inexpensive thing to do is create levels. So once they've earned so many points, they get a level. And so what we did in our district was, you'll see here these badges on the pictures of the badges. We actually sent that to a company called Sticker Mule, which was very inexpensive and made up. So when teachers reached that level, they were presented a sticker. And so these little badge stickers now are on the front of all their laptops. And that again is it is a great starter for conversation when they're out and about with other districts, when they're at PDs, and just amongst each other. Being the tech director, obviously a lot of people in my area know that we do this, and I'll get texts from people saying, hey, I must be sitting next to one of the people from your district because they've got badges on the front of their laptops and things like that. So that is an inexpensive way too to also celebrate how well they've done and what they've done, how far they've gotten with their badge program. And what's funny again is it's just a sticker, but it's amazing how they're like, hey, when are we getting our new badges? When's our stickers coming? And me going through and just keeping track of who's gotten what sticker, and I just keep a Google form with all of that with their points, and so then they receive those as well. So some people put them outside their classroom, but like I said, most teachers put it on the fronts of their laptops.
That's funny because I asked some of our teachers for some feedback about this, and that was actually something that one of my teachers said. She said that a lot of the points and things like that is a great intrinsic reward for some people, but it would really be nice to be able to have a sticker or something like that to show for it. So I think it's funny that you mentioned that because that's on my to-do list.
And again, Sticker Mule is cheap, it's easy, and it's it's one of those things that it goes a long way. I was going back and forth, and I know that Katie, I think you're going to do some questions with us, but one of the people asked how we pay for the PD, we use title funds for that, because Title II money is PD, professional development. And so we do use some of the title funds for that. We also use some district funds as well. So, and the good thing about, I mean, one of the things is it's not all out at one time. It's taken, people a long time to get this far. So it's spread out over some time, but that's where we spend and get some of the money for this. But I will tell you that the district has taken on a little bit of this as well. Just their commitment to furthering, technology integration into the district. I'm trying to think what else I can't get to. Let me see. Do you, Katie, are you going to just give us questions, or?
I am. I can go ahead and share some of those with you ladies now, if it's a good point in the presentation.
I think that's fine.
What do you think, Dana? You want to take some questions?
Yeah,
and then
let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, there haven't been too many. Guys in the live chat watching, please keep sharing those questions if they come to you. Well, first of all, I want to confirm, was the website where you got the stickers made, is that Sticker Mule?
It is. It's stickermule.com.
Okay. I shared that in the chat, but I wanted to confirm that that was correct.
I'm sure there's a lot of other ones out there, but a lot of times they have a large minimum order, and this was one that didn't, and they are pretty quick turnaround.
Awesome. Okay, Melissa asked about the budget, and you kind of just touched on that, how those incentives are funded. That you said was the title funding. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to funding all of those amazing incentives that you ladies give the teachers?
No, I do think what's funny though is I've got teachers who are up for incentives and they have no idea. So I don't want people to think this is the only reason people do it. Now, for some, I know it is, but I will tell you there's a lot of things. One of the important things I forgot to mention is that our administrators were also had to get 50 points. So I think that was key in there are a few reasons for that. One is they were on the same playing field as the teachers, and if it's important for our teachers to, be more with what's out there with technology and all of those, it's important for our administrators to do that as well. So what's interesting about that is that a lot of our teachers have now really started to look at our administrators as instructional leaders with technology. I know they're already instructional leaders, but a lot of times not in the way of technology. But I've even had my elementary teacher tell me, oh my gosh, I was in doing a walkthrough and the teacher was having a problem and she looked at me and said, hey, she goes, and I was actually able to help her. And so it's kind of a nice feeling that they have with one another, but it also shows that while we think this is important for teachers, we think it's important for everybody. And so we did make our principals do that. In the same sense, our principals have become pretty competitive with each other in their buildings. And so they have done a lot of incentives that really don't cost money. So for instance, our teachers, like most teachers, I'm sure, love to wear jeans. And so, they'll be like, any teacher who's at this many points gets to wear jeans every Friday for the rest of the semester. So that was one thing that they would do. Or the first grade level, to get everybody to 100 points, gets to go eat out lunch one day. So they backed it up to something else. And so those classrooms were covered, and the teachers got to go out and have lunch, because, every teacher loves to leave their building and just go grab lunch and not be rushed to eat in 20 minutes. So those were some things that our did. They would have, they would say, hey, anybody who did this, would get to wear sweats on a day. And so they just really tried to do some things on their own in their buildings, which I love and think are amazing. We also use this as incentives for getting to go to conferences. So ISTE conference, we took 10 people last year. And I can tell you that if you weren't probably at least above that 100 line, you weren't going to ISTE. We wanted some people who were there for the innovation and really were self-motivators. So that was one of the things we looked at as well.
And I think something else that our administrators are doing to support this is, like, at every faculty meeting, they're encouraging teachers to share something that they've learned and that they've tried with their students from the Badges program. So our elementary teachers are sharing at faculty meetings, and our secondary teachers, they're encouraging them to start off their collaboration meetings by sharing something that they've tried. So they're encouraging them to be collaborative within their teams and share some of the things that they've learned. Because a lot of people, like, one of the things that I really like about the program is that it will also show you who else has earned that badge. So if you're having trouble figuring out how a tool works, you can look and you can see who has earned it. And then you'll know, oh, okay, well, I can go and ask so-and-so down the hall because they've already earned that badge. And then I know, all right, well, they can help me. I can ask them a question about this. So the pictures that'll show up on here will show you who has already earned it. And then, you know, I can ask any of these people. Or you can also look at that and see, okay, well, I'm a third grade science teacher and so is Lisa. So then I can go and I can look at her other badges and I can see some other ones that might be good for me to go and try to use because they'll probably work for teaching third grade science. So there are all the other things that Lisa has earned. So maybe those will work for me to try those out as well. So there's some built-in collaboration within the program. And then our administrators have built in some collaboration as well to try and help each other out.
I think just that our administrators and our teachers are talking the same talk. And I want to put out there, I know this is not high level as far as, you know, my point was when I'm face to face with teachers now, I don't want to be explaining to them how to use Kahoot. I want to be able to talk deeper with them about technology integration and about, you know, asking the right questions and how they can use it. So that's how I wanted to spend my PD time with them, not on how to use tools. So while this is such an important part of our professional development, please note this is not our only technology professional development. We talk about, you know, different, how you can be at the different ends of the pool, you know, how we start here in the shallow end, but we also go to the deep end with the depth, you know, with our like our DOK levels and things like that. So this was not meant to be our only technology professional development for our teachers. This was just to help with the basics. Do you have some more questions for us, Katie?
I do, yes, thank you. Okay, let's see. Melissa also asked, was anyone demotivated by the competitive nature of the badging and the points?
I'm sure there were people demotivated, but I think those are the same people that are pretty unmotivated about anything we bring out to them that they have to do. So I'm sure there were. And I know that some people could care less about what their neighbor is doing. Fun way of, you know, keeping first of all, it helps me keep track, and second of all, it's just one of those things that we're trying to gamify it a little bit and make it more fun and make it a little bit competitive. So some people, that's not their thing, but as long as they got to their 50, we didn't push them to go any further.
Yeah, I think we took the similar approach. We didn't require a minimum. I think it finally is putting a little bit of accountability in there for people. And our approach was just, all right, if you're, you know, at a level 3, we just want to move you to a level 4. So we're not trying to get everybody to the top of the mountain. We just want everybody to take a few steps forward. So we were trying to just help everybody move a few steps forward from wherever they were. So no one verbalized that they were demotivated. I'm like Michelle, I'm sure there were some people who were, but I think since we took a very low pressure approach towards this and just said, this is here for you, we're just trying to help. We're not requiring everybody to, you know, get 250 points or anything like that. We just want this to be here to help you. And we took the similar approach. Our PD was more about transforming instruction. This is just to help you learn the tools that you want to learn. So I hope that they weren't, but I'm sure that they probably were. I hope it was just a very few in number, though.
Thank you both. And then I think I shared the correct 3 that I heard, but I just want to reconfirm with the 2 of you. Can you share the programs that you're using to combine this? I think I heard and shared links in the chat to WordPress, Badge OS, which integrates with WordPress, and then Credly. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Awesome. Okay. And then can you just reconfirm again, USD 464 Tech asked, how can you keep track of who earns what badges?
So what happens on our end is because those 3 things talk to each other, when a teacher submits a badge, and she's showing you the back end here. So when a teacher submits a badge, this is obviously what the teacher sees. This is what we see. We get an email that says a badge has been submitted. So we go in then to the back end here and we choose. So she's showing you which ones are pending. And you can go in then and pick one of them. So are you going to pick one for me, Dana?
Sure.
Good. And then we can actually see, you go down to the bottom and you can see what they actually turned in. So this person put, I created this Symbaloo for my Windows and Calc kiddos. There are lots of great reading websites for them to enjoy at home. So here, they didn't actually do a screenshot. They actually gave you a link to their Symbaloo. So like her, I'll go out to the Symbaloo, make sure it's there, make sure it has links. And when I see that, then I can go back and approve the badge. So here is that that Symbaloo. And then I go back, press approve, and you can approve or you can actually disapprove, which sometimes happens, the badges. So when you click approve, they'll get an email saying your badge has been approved, and it automatically sends that to Credly, where all the badges are stored with their under their username and password. And so they could actually log into Credly and they can post their badges on LinkedIn accounts, on any of their social websites, but most people don't do that just because there's so many of them. So they would be doing that all the time. But that's where you can actually go in and you would just put pending. Most of mine are denied. If they're denied, it's because either the link hasn't come through or they're doing so many at one time, they mix them up. So it's never really that they've given me the wrong information. It's usually just something on the end of the user that didn't go quite the way that they thought it would. And if it's denied, they'll get an email saying it's been denied, and you put in the comment section why it's denied, and then they can redo it at any time. So I think that's interesting as well. And so these are all links, but if you would go down, you'd also see if somebody attached something, they would be there. And one of the great things is you start to remember so there's the attachment here. They've attached a screenshot. And so most of the time you remember what you're asking. So here they did a screenshot of their quizzes to prove that they did it. So I would look at that and say, yep, they did it, and I'd go ahead and I'd approve it. So on the approval end, it's pretty quick. It's just getting to remember what you asked them to submit. But most everything is a screenshot or a link to what they've created. So that's usually what we do on our end. Question.
The only ones that we have really an issue with, so if it's supposed to be an attachment and they put it in that submission box, you'll get page after page after page of code in this picture on the right. And then you have to, if they don't attach it correctly, then you have to deny it. And so my teachers that are helping me with this, they're like, Danna, will you do this one? I really don't like to deny them, or I've already denied one today and I don't want to have to deny another one of their submissions. So, I mean, teachers don't like to be told that they did something wrong. None of us do. But it's not like we're judging the quality of anybody's work. It's yes, they did it, or no, they didn't, or they did it in the right format, or no, they didn't. So usually at the beginning, when we're first rolling this out, people will go through and they'll do the ones that they already know, like Remind. Everybody uses Remind, it seems like, and we ask them to attach a screenshot of their Remind page. So as long as they do it like this, they're all good. If they do it incorrectly and they do it as as a submission instead of as an attachment, then we get this and we have to deny it. So mainly once you get them trained how to use the website and the interface, it's all good and you don't have problems. But I do have sometimes where people will share a Google link and they won't share it so that anyone in Jackson R2 can view. And so then we have to deny those. And you have to deny it because otherwise it won't open up the submission box again. So they can't resubmit it. But yeah, like Michelle said, as long as people turn it in, it's good to go. And one of the things that I really like about all the evidence that we ask them for is almost everything. It's asking for either evidence of them using it with their students, or sometimes it's even their students using the tool, and that's the evidence. So it's not just that they've learned the tool, it's that they've used the tool with their students. And I really like that about it.
Thank you so much for showing us that back end. I think some people are wanting to see that. A few people are kind of asking, so now they've sort of seen the back end management piece of it. Can you sort of very quickly walk through like an example task that teachers would have to complete? And I guess some of that you kind of did, but I think they'd like to see it like almost from the teacher perspective of completing that task.
Sure.
All right, so I think Danna's doing that now. So she's actually choosing what she wants to go through. So I'll kind of talk through it here as you do that. And so the teacher will choose what they want to do. So for hers and hers and I, you know, some of the things look the same, some don't. So here's create a quiz using Google Forms. One of the things we try to do is I try to put some type of video, how-to video in there. Please note, I do not make almost 99% of these videos. There's stuff that's already out there that are good, made by qualified people. So again, why reinvent the wheel? And so here's a video teachers can watch if they want to, if they need that, because some people are really big on their visuals. But then here, earn your badge, and it gives you step-by-step directions. So they have to open up a Google form, select a blank quiz, and here's some, you know, things that they absolutely have to do after your students have taken the Google quiz. Screenshot a picture of their results. So that's what they actually have to turn in. So when you would go down to the submission box, can you go down just a little bit there? You'll see this submission box. And let me note that if one of you go to our websites and try to see this, you will not see a submission box, because in order to see a submission box, you have to be logged into the site. So you would see earn your badge and all of that, but you wouldn't actually be able to submit. I have to tell you, I laugh. Every once in a while, I'll get a submission from someone and I have no idea who they are. And I'll go and somebody has logged in, you know, created a login, and I just laugh and I send them a nice little email and say, as much as I would love to submit, you know, do this, I can barely keep up with the 120 I have going on my own. So, you know, but I know they're just trying to test it out to see what it looks like, but that's funny. So the submission, and this is where you could type in your submission, or right below it, you'll see attachment. And that's where you'll choose a file in that attachment. And the file has to be either a JPEG or a PDF. And that was the hardest thing for our teachers to understand. You cannot upload just a Google document. So you can't just upload the Google form. You need to make it and upload the screenshot of the PDF for me, or you can link it in the submission box, but you need to make sure that we have permission to see that. So that's how they do it. And then they hit submit, which is right underneath the attachment there. And once they hit submit, I get an instant email, and I know that I have one waiting there for me to go in and either approve or disapprove. And I'm sure do you do it the same way?
Yes, I just pretty much always know I have one waiting, so I've sent those emails off to a folder so that I don't have them all the time. I will say that I just tonight had a bunch of, had several Google form ones from my early childhood teachers, and they are not going to be making forms for, you know, 3- and 4-year-old. They aren't going to be making quizzes. So they modified theirs and used it as a parent permission form, and they just emailed that in. So there are times where it doesn't have to be exactly what's described here, and we just modify it to fit the situation. But they do have to still have evidence submitted along with it. So they can't just email me and say, hey, I did this. I'm like, okay, great, you did that, but I still need to see the form. So it's not appropriate for them to make a quiz for a 3-year-old. but it is appropriate for them to use a Google form for the parents to collect information. So just submit that and then we'll give you your badge.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. Lynn asked, how often do you add more badges since new tech and apps appear all the time?
One of the things that I do on my end is I almost now, right away, teachers were like, how come you don't have a badge for this? How come you don't have a badge for that? Because obviously when I first rolled it out, I didn't have that many. So almost instantly I did, and Dana has one here, a digital leader badge. So this is a badge of which our teachers create the badge. So because they know what's out there a lot quicker than I know, or, you know, can get to it. So what we do here is the teacher actually does everything I need on the back end without having to be in the back end. So they give me all the information. So you can see here that they tell me what tech tool it is, how many points it should be worth. They fill out actually a Google form, and you can see the Google form here. And the Google form really was created, I pretty much took everything I need on the back end, and here it is. So the name of the badge you're proposing, and she has the category. I obviously don't have that. And hers says submit your shareable link, where mine will say, give me an excerpt of this. How many points is it worth? What do you think? Give me directions step by step. So they do all the back end work because I'm giving them 10 points for this. And so all I should have to do is create the badge. And I'll be very honest with you, at first I was making them create the badges, but I got to be really picky about what my badges look like. So I took that role on myself. So I'll just have to make the badges and form and cut and paste and put it into the back end of WordPress. So most of those are done on the teacher level. And what's amazing about that is I have digital leader badge turned in probably once or twice a week. So they're being updated all the time. We've probably updated 120 since last January. And I still have a few in there I have to do. So teachers are constantly saying, I want a badge for this, I want a badge for that. And we've even started doing some where we have an independent study badge as well, because some of our teachers are getting certificates and things in areas that really aren't for everyone. So an example would be in my high school business teacher got Microsoft certified. We had a free thing because our students were using it, because normally it costs over $100. And so he became Microsoft certified. We weren't going to pay everybody to get Microsoft certified. We're also a Google school, so we don't expect our teachers to do that. However, we felt it was important to give him credit for that. So that's where that independent study badge comes in, and they have to put what it is that they did, and then we kind of work out the point system. And the points is just kind of level of difficulty. I mean, if it's something that takes no time at all, it might be 1 or 2 points. If it's something that takes a little bit of planning for teachers, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 points. Anything above that takes a little bit more time in preparation. For instance, our Google certification level 1 is 15 points. To me, that's 3 hours of work at least. So that's 5 points an hour is kind of the way we look at it. I'm not quite sure what yours is as far as your point level there, but those are huge. And what's funny is my teachers who say, none of this applies to me. Google certification applies to everybody. So if you just took 1 and 2, you got your 30 points. You had 20 left. You could do, so I didn't take that as that teachers couldn't find anything on here that didn't apply to them. So it's constantly changing, and we're always adding.
So I have several of them.
Question, which was going to be from Courtney, how do you assign the point value?
Danna?
I do the same kind of thing. I mean, if it's not going to take a whole lot of time, like creating your login and uploading your profile picture, those are the first things that we do when we train people. So everybody starts with 2 points for those 2 badges. And then from there, it just depends on how much time it's going to take. So creating your own badge, that's going to take some time. Creating your own hyperdoc, that's going to take some time. So those are 4 and 5 points, but some of them are, uploading your profile picture, that doesn't take any time at all. That's just 1 point.
The other thing too, very quickly, that I do, because this takes a little bit more time creating the badges, so I don't get to them as quickly as the other things. So I always tell my teachers, if you have a badge you want to make, don't go through all the work of doing the digital leader badge unless you've sent me an email asking if someone's already got that one going. Because I've had that happen where somebody's put it in and I'm like, I already have that badge. And so we ask them to do is come to us or send me an email and say, hey, is anyone doing a badge on this? And I'll know immediately if I have got one on the back end waiting to be turned in, or if someone else has already asked me about that. So I do want to make sure that they're not, wasting their time. And so I do have them approve those with me as well. And I also want to make sure it's something that's worth putting out there.
Yeah, that's why I started adding the coming soon. These are the ones that I've had submitted that I haven't gotten put up yet. So for the same reason, because I had a duplicate one submitted as well.
And then I think our last question, USD 464 Tech asked, does anyone use these badges for PD points? I'm not sure what exactly you mean by PD points. Ladies, I don't know if you know what that.
We did encourage our teachers that if they wanted to make technology one of their teacher goals for this year, they would have a way to document it. So they could say if technology was their goal, that they were going to earn 25 points in the badge system, then this would be a way to document it. But again, that was a voluntary thing. If they decided to do it, then they could earn their points to document their personal goal. But I don't know if that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, do you have a way, I guess contact hours maybe is the closest thing that I can think of that our teachers would relate to that. I don't know if USC, if you want to clarify that in the chat for us, go ahead. But do you all have a way for them to track, like for contact hours for licensure renewal or anything like that on their end?
We don't require that. So, I mean, especially, I mean, you have to do so much PD. So we have that just in our, that the district offers. So this is above and beyond that. I would equate certain points to how much time, but we don't use it in that way. But I know that there's ways that you could absolutely do that.
Yeah, that seems like something that you could easily convert from, based on the tasks and everything to approximate amount of time. So yeah, that's a good question there to kind of wrap it up. Ladies, we've got like 3 minutes left for the hour here. Anything else, any last tips? This has been amazing. But any last things that you all want to share to the folks still viewing? And for people still here before you go, I did share a link to a contact hour in the chat. I will share it again one more time. If you fill out that evaluation and you opt in to receive the contact hour certificate, it'll automatically generate it and email it to you. And yes, I will, as soon as we're finished, email out the recording. So you will have the recording and the chat archive as well. Will be linked in a Google document. So Dana and Michelle, any last things that you want to share with everyone?
I think the only thing I'd like to do is, do you have our websites on one of those? I didn't even look.
Yes.
Do you have our?
They're both linked.
So, okay, so we will make sure that if you take that link, if you take up in the corner, everyone can see where our slide deck presentation is. And so if you want to write down, or I don't know, Katie, if you can put that in the group chat with the, so that they have access to the slide deck. But one thing I will tell all of you is, I'm sure like Danna does, I get texts, emails, I get calls from school districts all over. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions, if you want to know more about what we do. Happy to help. So just reach out to us. There's my information, so that will be in the slide deck, as well as Dana. So we are both happy to help. We're we feed off each other a lot. So if she doesn't know the answer, I can try to find it, and vice versa. So thank you so much for coming and listening, and hopefully we've helped a little bit or spur some new ideas. And we're also open to ideas. So anything you could add or ideas would be helpful as well.
I think that about covers it. So thank you very much for having us and for joining us.
Ladies, thank you so much. I've shared, for everyone watching, I did share the link directly into the chat to their presentation, and then a direct link to both of their websites as well. So thank you both so much. Again, this has been absolutely amazing. So much good information. I know that this one is going to be watched a lot for the recording. So I do have the link to the webinar feedback link on the screen for you. I shared in the chat a couple of times. And again, this is how you can get your contact hour certificate, which is kind of how we sort of wrapped up the last little bit of the questions there. So both of you, thank you so, so much. And we look forward to continuing to connect with you on Twitter and in the EdTech Coaches PLN community. Everyone have a wonderful night, and thanks for taking time out to join us this Tuesday evening.